So I had some requests to do a video on arc length because the con videos are kind of lacking. They're not showing everything. So I hope this helps. It's kind of a quick one and impromptu. I just pulled up this problem from Khan Academy, which is really typical. And I want you to know that when we read these problems, especially if they're mixed with others, we should kind of look to see what we're trying to find here. So a circle has a radius of 3. And so that's something that's important. And an arc length of the circle has a central angle of 340 degrees. So that's given here in the diagram, the 340 degrees. Also, the 3 is given in the diagram. What is the arc length? So we want to find the arc length, and that means we want to find what is the length of this red portion that is, they say, subtended by this central angle 340 degrees. Now, what they don't give us is the circumference of the circle. So I think maybe that might be what the Khan sort of left out or glossed over. So I'm just going to say the formula here is a proportion. If we say that if we knew the arc length, it divided by the circumference of the circle, that ratio, like this far around to the whole distance around the circle, should equal the ratio of this angle divided by the whole circle. And the whole circle is 360 degrees. So that would be the, I'm just going to say that's the arc, this would be the angle measure divided by basically the circle measure, but I'm going to put 360 degrees here because that's always 360 degrees. So this is a formula we're going to use. And if we say, what is the arc length? That's what we're going to try to find. And I'm just going to put an X there. That's the distance around this yellow portion. And that would be X divided by the circumference of the circle, which they didn't give us. Okay, so here's the other formula we need. The circumference of a circle is pi times the diameter. Or you could, then some people like to use circumference as 2 pi times the radius. In this case, they give us the radius, and I usually like to just convert that to a diameter. The radius is 3, so the diameter is 6. So it's 6 units all the way across the circle, and I like to use this one. So in this case, I'm going to say the bottom is going to be pi times the diameter. So that would be pi times 6. And we just write that as 6 pi because we could just get the exact answer. So that's where we get that piece. And now we can finish our proportion. On this side, we have the angle measure, and that is the angle of this subtended arc, which is 340 degrees, divided by 360 degrees. And this is where we're at right now. Okay, now you can just do this on a calculator. I know some people are like not that great at reducing. You could always reduce the zeros here, and then you could divide the top and bottom by 2, and you could get this down. But let's just do it with a calculator, and we'll see what we get. They say we could use 3.14, and that's what I'm just going to do. So let's just do the calculator way. And maybe I'll just do the no calculator way for those of you who want to see that. And if you don't want to do that, so we start with this equation and we just cross multiply. And I'm going to draw in that cross multiplication butterfly that we're used to. Let's see. So we cross this way and we cross that way. Okay, so this would be 360 times x equals the product of all of these things. 340 times 6 pi, and that means times 6 times pi. That's the same thing. So if I wanted to just use a calculator, at this stage, I may just multiply those things out. So I'm going to do that. You can't see my calculator, but believe me, when I say I'm going 340, and they want us to use 3.14 for pi, but I just go times 6 times 3.14. So I could use the pi button, but it tells me to use 3.14, so I can get the decimal that they want as an answer. So I'm just going to use 3.14. and I did 340 times 6 times 3.14, and that gives me 6405.6. Now I just divide both sides by 360, and I get my final answer. X equals this thing. So in my calculator I already have the 1, so I hit the division button, 360, and that is, okay, so here it is, 17.793 repeating on the 3. Enter the exact answer in terms of pi, or use 3.14 for pi. Enter your answers. The only problem with this is how many decimal places do they want? So, you know, I might put in 17.793. That should be enough. I mean, I suppose we could add a few more 3s. I should probably try this problem. I will enter a value in there and see what happens. Now, if I didn't use the calculator, I would get to this stage, or I might reduce this first. So like if I wasn't using a calculator, 6 pi equals 340 divided by 360, I would definitely just cross out the zeros. That's easy. I'm going to then reduce this and divide this by 2, and you get 17 times 2 is 34, and 18 times 2 is this. So I have my new equation, x over 6 pi equals 17 over 18. Cross multiply, same as before. I'll just take that extra step because I don't want to have big numbers here. So I now have 18x equals, and now I do have to do 17 times 6. So I guess I'm not using a calculator. 17 times 6. So that would be 42. 6 plus 4 is 10. So 102. So that would be 102, 102. Don't forget, you have a pi, and you haven't really done anything with that. Okay, now you could divide both sides by 18. And so now we get our final answer. X equals, we should reduce this. And that might be also a challenge. But we'll say I'm going to divide that by 2 pretty easy, and I get 51. Because 51 times 2 is 102, and divide this by 2, and I get 9. And I might know that 3 goes into 51, so I'm going to divide that again. 3 times 17 is 51. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 9, so I have a 3. So I have 17 pi on the top and 3 on the bottom. Okay, so which one of these do you want to do? I don't know, but I'm going to try this one. I'm less confident that that's going to work in this problem. I'm thinking, oh, this is actually not. I can't really check that. I'm hoping that works. Either one of those works. 17.793, or you could put 17 pi divided by 3 in there, and you should get the right answer. I hope this helps, and I'll see you in tutorial in just a few minutes if you come.